There are various forms of volleyball. The one that we are going to talk about is 6 versus 6 formats, where you have 6 people on both sides of the net. Now the field is divided into 2 areas and separated by a net which is 8 feet high, and there are 2 antennas, so you need to hit above the net, between the antenna and in the playing field. Once you get the ball, you need to hit above the net into the opponent's playing area, but it should go between the antennas. Now here is how it looks like from side. This is net. Now if we need to look at the field from the top, or the volleyball court from the top, this is how it's gonna look like. Each point starts with a service, and service a player needs to hit here. The white team is serving, so they need to stand outside the court. So they need to stand outside this line, somewhere over in this area, and they need to toss the ball, hit it by the hand, and it should fall in this green area. Volleyball is basically, you can think of your hand as a racket, and you can think of it like a racket sport, but your hands are your racket. So if you hit the ball anywhere in this area, the service is good. If the ball hits the line, then also it is good. If the ball hits the net and then it goes over into the other area, then also it is good. If the ball was going out but it hit the player, then also it is good. So in all these formats, the service is good. So when do we have a wrong serve, which is called as fault? So if a ball hits into the net, or if ball is outside this playing area, then it is called as a fault serve, and in that case you lose the point, and then the serve goes to the opposing team. Now if you do a good serve, then the opponent would receive. So how opponent receive is, they use their hands, they can pass it on to their team players, but ball should be in the air. If ball touches the ground, then the point ends. So ball needs to be in the air. You can pass it on to your teammate, and then they can hit it over the net. Receiving team is allowed to have 3 touches. If they do more than 3, then they lose it. They can return it in 1, 2, or 3. All 3 are not necessarily need to be used, but they can use it. And why do they need 3 shots? You will understand right now. So the very first shot when you are receiving a serve is known as a pass. So in the pass, forearms are used, because the serve comes at 83 miles per hour. That's massive. That's really fast. So you need to absorb the momentum of the ball. So you use your muscles of your forearms to take the control of the ball, absorb the momentum, and then your intention of the first shot is to put the ball in the center of the field, center of your side of the court. That would be the pass. Even if anyone receives the serve, the first shot is usually a pass, and the intention is to put the ball somewhere in the middle of the court towards the net. The second shot, so first shot is pass, the second shot is called as a set. In the set, what the players use their fingers and wrist. What they are trying to do is they are trying to set the ball for the next shot. So their intention is to set the ball near the net. If they set the ball near the net, then it's easier for their players to hit the ball. So that's the intention when you do the set. So first one is pass, you try to hit the ball in the center, and second one where you set the ball near the net. And the third shot is known as attack. Attack is basically player use their palm to slam the ball. They use their shoulder to generate the power, and they jump up in the air around 1.5 feet, and they just smash the ball into opponent's area with 80 miles per hour. That's really fast. And the intention is to hit the shot anywhere where the opponent doesn't have a player, so you win the point. As soon as ball hits the ground, you win the point. Now this attack shot is also known as spike, and the player is also known as hitter. When you're doing attack, the opponents can block your shot. So in that case, if you hit it, they block it and the ball falls into your area, then you lose a point. So you need to be aware of the blockers. Here, you do the first shot, which is pass. The second shot is a set. Now set is very tricky. Here, if 2 gives a set to that player, then the blockers would move closer to that player right here. Blockers comes here. Now, but one more possibility is 2 gives a ball to these players. So either he can hit it, or he can hit it, or she can hit it. So these blockers need to judge whether this player is going to hit it or this player is going to hit it. So they would have to guess. If they guess and they jump here, and if this player hit, then they would block it, and it's not a good shot from this team because, you know, they have a blocker here. But if they hit a shot from here, if he just leave the ball is coming this way and this player hits it, nobody's here, no blocker is here, they have more chances to win the point. This is where game gets very interesting. Once ball is passed, now setter can set here, setter can set here, here, anywhere. So a lot of anticipation is there as well. Now, one thing that you need to keep in your mind is block doesn't count as a hit. So a team is allowed to have 3 hits to pass the ball, but the block doesn't count. So in this case, let's say it hit the blocker's hand and it goes to the team, they would still have 1, 2, and 3 hits to get the ball back. The con is if the ball hits the blocker, then it is counted as an in. So let's say the ball was going way out, but it hit the blocker, then it would be counted as an in. So you would lose a point. So blocker need to be careful as well. Winner of current point gets to serve for the next point. So if white team is serving and they win the point, then they serve for the next point. They win the point, they serve for the next point. They keep on serving until they keep on winning the point. Once they lose the point, then serve would go to the black team. And then they would serve until they lose a point. They'll keep on serving till they are winning a point. Once they lose a point, serve goes back to the white team. 25 points are required to win one set with a difference of 2 points. What does it mean is, let's say there's a team A, you are team A, and let's say I am team B. You had 25 points, I have 15 points. The difference is 10, it's more than 2, so you won that set. 25-23, the difference is 2, you won that set. 25-24, the difference is 1, so you didn't really win this game even though you have 25 points because the difference is 1. So now you need to win 1 more point. So either you do 26 or I do 27. So you did 26 minus 24, 2. Again, you won. You're like a champion. You beat me all the time. Now 25 points corresponding to 1 set. So you win a set if you win at 25 points. And you need to either win 2 sets or 3 sets depending upon which tournament you're playing. Here's a score. Let's say team A, team B, they have 5 sets. The first 4 sets are whoever wins 25 points with a difference of 2. But the last set is whoever wins 15 points with a difference of 2. So out of these 5 sets, you need to win 3 sets. The first 4 sets are 25 points. The last set is just 15 points, but you need to have a difference of 2. So let's talk about volleyball position. So volleyball field, we'll talk about the black team here. This area is known as a front zone and the other area is known as a back zone. So mostly you would hear front zone, back zone. And then the positions, there's an outside hitter, blocker, and different position. Let's talk about them in detail. So once you see a green player here, one player would have a different jersey from all the players of a team. That person is the passer. That person is known as a libero. And that person's job is, or he's or she's very skillful in passing the ball using the forearms, and they are very agile. So you have one libero in both the teams. Then there's a setter who sets the ball. So typically you would have 1 or sometimes maybe 2 setters. And then you have the hitter. So typically there are 3 hitters in the team. And then there's a blocker. So there's a 1 blocker mostly on the team. So the job of blocker would be to stand close to the net and block the shots. If you're a recreational player, whatever I've said so far should be good enough for you to go ahead and enjoy the volleyball. But if you want to go a little bit pro, then there's one very important concept you need to understand. That is rotation. It is a little bit tricky, but I'll try my best to explain it. This is very important if you're watching a pro match or if you want to be a pro player. So what is rotation? What is in rotation? And what is out of rotation? So what does rotation mean is, let's say you're player 6, then player 6 needs to be on this side of player 1, on this side of player 3, and on this side of player 5. So player 6 needs to be between these players. So player 6 can stand anywhere in this green area, then player 6 is in rotation. So for player 1, player 1 would look at player in front of them, or there's no one in the right, so on the left. So if player 1 stands in this area, then the player 1 is in rotation. For player 2, we see that player 1 and 3 would be used. If player 2 is in this area, player is in rotation. If player moves outside this area, then then the player is out of rotation and the team loses the point. This rotation needs to be established only before serve starts. Once serve is done, then anyone can move anywhere. Let's take a look at a player 3. Player 3, we would look at player 2, 4, and 6. So if player 3 is between them, anywhere in this area following the rule, then player 3 is good. Otherwise, player 3 is out of rotation. Now let's take an example. So player serve, that goes to player 1, 2, and then ball is here. So anyone who is in the front zone can jump and hit the ball if ball is above the net. But if ball is above the net, then these 3 players cannot hit the ball in the front zone. They can hit the ball from the back zone. So typically what you would say is player 5 would run and jump from the back zone area and then hit the ball. So that is acceptable. But these 3 players cannot stand in the front zone and jump and hit the ball when the ball is above the net. If ball is below the net, then anyone can hit from anywhere. There's no restriction. It's only if the ball is above the net and in the front zone, then these players can only hit it. If these players 1, 6, and 5 need to hit it, they need to jump from the back zone area and then hit the ball. There is one more concept of rotation that happens only when serve changes and your team is serving. So if serve changes and it goes to opponent, then you don't need to do anything. But if serve changes and now you are serving, then you need to do a rotation. Here, if the white team is serving and they lost the point. So now let's say we are the black team. So because we won and now it is our serve. So what we would do is we would have our rotation 1. So everyone moves 1 position in the clockwise direction. So when we are serving, this would be our position. Player 2 would serve. Now let's say, they won the point again and now it's their serve, and then we won the point again. So now it's our serve. So whenever we get serve, we need to rotate. So it's our serve, we rotate again, but we only rotate when serve changes. So if we keep on winning the points, then we don't need to move our players. Only when we lose a point and then again we win the point, then we need to rotate. Here in rotation 2, everyone moves 1 position in clockwise direction. Now the libero, who is dressed differently, cannot play in the front zone. That's the restriction on libero. Now the benefit of libero is libero can substitute n number of times and it doesn't count as a substitution. There are a limited number of substitution a team can do, and libero substitution doesn't count. So here libero cannot play in front zone. So what they do is they would substitute an external player, and now libero can replace any of these back zone players. So what they would do is replace libero with one of the back zone players, and this would be your formation. Now let's say you lost a point again, ball goes to them, there's something happens, and then you got the point again. So once you get the point, you do a rotation. You would do a 3rd rotation. And let's say again you lost a point, and then when you won a point again, it would be 4th rotation. And then let's say you lost a point and then you won a point again, it would be a 5th rotation. Now in 5th rotation, you see libero is back in the front zone, which is not permitted. So libero gets replaced, and now libero can replace anyone on the back zone. So libero would replace player X, and now it becomes like how it started. And in the next rotation, when you lose a point and then when you win a point, you would have one more rotation, and now this is exactly how you started. So this is rotation. The players needs to be in rotation, which means this player need to be between these 3. And then when you win a point, when your opponent is serving and there's a serve change, then you rotate all the players 1 time. You might be wondering why rotation is there, because otherwise you would put all the good hitters in the front and they would hit all the times. So volleyball made sure that all the players rotate, so that sometimes you have a good attacking line, so you're dominating, and then you don't have a good attacking line. So the momentum can change and make game much more interesting.